Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the regular city council meeting to order. It is Monday, April 13th at 6 o'clock. Do a roll call. Mike? Here. Maureen?
Here.
Adam? Here. Dar?
Here.
Ben? Here. Lindsay?
Here.
Okay, would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is public comments. The council will receive public comments on any issue related to agenda items. Limited discussion by the council may take place.
Want to come to the up here?
Yep.
Go ahead, Dave.
Tell us who you are, where you live.
Yep, I'm David Westberg. I live on 175 Dexter Street. Just a few questions about the Walnut Circle development status, where it's at this point. Are we still taking public comments about it? I do have some questions if you are, and I guess that's,
Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead.
okay. As far as the status of it, are there any more public meetings on it? It's been before the planning commission already, right? Has there been an approval on the plan at this point?
Matt?
Yes, everything has been approved with Walnut Circle at this point.
Okay, so how about, maybe I've misunderstood this or haven't understood it. The sewer connections. Each individual lot, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's coming from that is gonna send its own line up to what's
You have
now.
a grinder pump.
Yeah, I realize that every house is gonna have to have that.
Yes.
But then is there gonna be however many lots there, each one gonna have an individual line going up to where the sewer lines terminate now on the end of Walnut?
So there'll be two sewer manholes that are going to be placed off to the side of where Dexter and Walnut meet. And then each house will have a sewer lateral with the grinder pump that pumps to those sewer manholes. So a total of 9 mains or sewer laterals that go to those two separate sewer manholes.
Okay, so then is each sewer line gonna be a 4-inch?
I believe it's either 2 or 3 inches.
Because your sewer lines, when they come out of the house, are always 4 inches.
I don't.
So I
I think, Dave, the idea is because they need to create that much pressure, they gotta keep a smaller hunk of pipe to push it. Because if you go with a 4, it takes us that much more power to get there.
okay, well then another question about that same process is that is pushing the liquid up the hill.
Mm.
Okay, typically when you have a system like that, I've never seen one like that, at least not that far. Is the sewage gonna back up?
There's gonna be a check
There's gonna be a check valve somewhere in
valve or
there?
check ball up through the line. Now, how many and where, for sure, I don't know. But I know there's at least 2 that usually have to go with those.
Okay, so then how deep are the sewer lines gonna be? Because that gets just as vulnerable to frost action as a water line does if you're keeping sewage in that line. Because a lot of them, like if you're talking about a septic system for a house, that has a septic tank,
Mm-hmm.
and typically a mound system is a pressure system. And if you're pushing it up, say the septic system's higher, or the mound is higher than the house, you pump it up there and then it backflows into the septic tank to keep that line open, so it's not exposed to frost. I'm questioning, why is this being done without putting a lift station down here to begin with? I know they're expensive, but a lift pump or grinder pump in the basement of every house down there just seems to be a backwards way of doing it. But I'm open to your opinions, but to me, it makes more sense a permanent system to have a sewer line just like a regular street would have, and a lift station. Or another thing, maybe in the city's long-term plan, is there a plan for future development? I'm assuming there is, but north of 10, that we need to get a bigger sewer main through the town somewhere and down that waterway or drainage area down through that valley? Would that be a better option? Because everything from the newer developments east of town, aren't they going to that lift station along 35 down there? I mean, is that something we should be looking a little farther ahead than this little development? And then, are the water lines being extended down there? I mean, they're not all gonna individually have an individual well, are they?
No.
Okay, so is the developer gonna put in the streets and the curb and the gutter? So it just seems to me a better system is to get sewer lines out there. Every house should go to a sewer line in the street and to a lift station, even if that lift station is temporary, for down the road, if you do go through that drainage to pick up more development on the north side of town. So this is cut and dried, so it's already been approved? That's the way it's gonna go, or, I mean, am
Yes.
I a day late and a dollar short, so, okay.
So I could speak to the lift stations. So there's only 9 lots on Walnut Circle. Ultimately, that is a very small amount of lots to put in a large lift station or even a small lift station. Ultimately, the lift station is a cost to the city because ultimately we take it over. We have some very large ones down like by the boat launch. So as part of the discussion, there are many communities where they're looking at smaller lots. We do these grinder pumps. And as part of the development agreement that was approved, each lot owner is going to have to sign a grinder pump agreement that essentially they are responsible for their own sewer lateral from their house to the sewer. So instead of the city having to bear the responsibility of maintaining a lift station, this puts that responsibility on each property owner that builds the house within that development. Then in terms of the depth, they are at or below the water main for all those.
What was that now?
They're at or below the sewer laterals are all at or below the water line, so there is no concern about them freezing.
Okay. All right, then the other item that's on your agenda tonight is the Glen Ridge development. Any comments that other than what's on the agenda, could we ask questions during that? Or do we have to ask a question now?
Pretty much gotta ask them now.
Okay. Then the only other concern, well, first off, I agree with what the building committee did. They approved the 3-story over the 4-story. I think that was a great idea. I think it's definitely more palatable for the people that are up there. And so I'm fine with that. The TIF district, I still don't understand how this benefits the citizens of the town to put a residential development in a TIF fund. But is that already been extended at this point? So that's a done deal too? The TIF district
Yes,
and TIF funding?
yes.
So, just so I could jump in here,
Go ahead.
the TIF amendment has been approved by Plan Commission, Council, and the Joint Review Board. The development agreement itself has not yet been approved. That's one of the things we're going to be discussing tonight in closed session, the negotiations with that, and then the actual, depending on what happens tonight, if that would move forward to a future council meeting for actually approving it or not.
Okay, so then my question is, the TIF district, the developer or owner of the apartment buildings pays his taxes, right? It's just like anybody else's tax bill. And that goes to the TIF fund.
The
Right.
actual land that they're paying tax on right now continues to go to the city's tax fund. After the building is built, then as they open that up and start inhabiting them, then that money will go to the TIF district.
Okay, but, so if he's paying taxes, but it's not going to the city, the county, or the school district, what is that money used for?
So I can,
Because it's called tax increment financing.
Correct.
Are we financing the construction of that building through the TIF fund?
so the way that is being proposed as part of this development is called a pay-as-you-go fund. So essentially, the way it works is that as this development creates new tax increment that wasn't there, that increment is then paid to the developer as a percentage of what they would pay as basically a development incentive to help finance and pay back and make back the return on investment that they need to make the project go. In this case, 10% of it would go into TID 6 fund. That TID 6 fund would then be used to help finance the future development of the business park that we currently have of 150 acres to offset any potential costs for developing infrastructure like city streets or anything for future industrial development.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Great,
Oh,
thank
by
you.
the way, Rob, congratulations on your service to the city and the job well done.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate that. Are there any other public comments? Okay, if not, we'll move to the consent agenda. City Council minutes from March 23rd. TID Joint Board of Review, April 6th. Planning Commission from April 6th. Board of Canvassers minutes from April 9th. General fund balance, cash balances for March. Paid invoices from March. And a Prescott Library special event, summer reading kickoff, Wednesday, June 3rd.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 1 through 8.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Next item is report on standing commissions. Nothing for finance. Let me get to the planning commission minutes. Okay, so planning commission report. Planner Loop presented information regarding 878 East Washington Street, conditional use permit, which we'll be talking about. So Laura Hammond of 953 Washington Street spoke with regarding the history of the structure. We closed the public hearing, passed with 7-0. Then the Bluffs revised development, 1452 Glen Ridge Drive, which we'll also be talking about. The commission agreed to go with concept 2, include three-story buildings and 2 accessory structures. That also passed 6-1. We had a resolution to approve the site plan. It's approved. We had a motion to approve the certified survey map for that particular property, and that was passed. We also had a resolution for the option of park option number 1, which is the skate park, for a lack of a better location to explain to you. Then we went over this facade improvement program, which we will be going over. And we had really good applicants for that. They were all very worthy of receiving the grant. So we picked 2. Came down to the
Heritage Center.
Heritage Center,
I don't know what you call it.
209 Broad Street, which we'll be talking about that. And then Josh Miller from Cedar Corps brought the comprehensive plan updates. We went over that. We scheduled to hold a public hearing on the 1st of June. And that's about it. Did I miss anything, Matt? No. Okay. So then the next meeting is Monday, May 4th at 6. Parks and Public Works, next meeting Monday, April 20th at 5. Health and Safety, next meeting Monday, May 11th at 5. Personnel, next meeting Wednesday, May 6th at 5. Next item is communications and new business, public comments. The council received public comments on any issue not related to the agenda. Limited discussion by the council may take place. However, no action will be taken on any item. This includes receiving a written request or documentation and possible action at a future meeting. Hearing none. Next item on the agenda is tabled items from the March 6th, 2026 City Council meeting. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So first, I apologize, the air conditioning is not working here, so it's a bit stuffy. I forgot to tell you all this
I was gonna
before we
say.
started. So before you tonight is the tabled items for March 6th. Specifically, this is ordinance 03-26, which was an ordinance amending the official zoning map for a PUD regarding the development that is being proposed by Capital Investment Partners at 1452 Glenridge Drive. 1452 Glenridge Drive, which is pictured up here on the right-hand side, or right-hand corner, top right-hand corner, is a 3.2 acre parcel of land that is zoned R4, high-density residential. It is the last remaining undeveloped piece of undeveloped high-density residential within the city. Plan Commission was approved by, or a concept plan was approved by Plan Commission at their February 2nd meeting, and then City Council at their February 9th, with them being three principal buildings which would require a PUD. Specifically, our high-density zoning calls out that there must be one principal building, so that is the reason for why the PUD would be required. However, after a public hearing by Plan Commission on March 2nd, the Plan Commission recommended denial of the PUD, so City Council tabled their determination of the PUD decision on March 9th until Plan Commission had the opportunity to review the new concept plans. So CapVest submitted a new concept plan and then updated the previous one. So concept plan number 1 was a 4-story principal building of 112 units and no accessory structures. And concept plan number 2 was once again three-story principal buildings of 106 units, and then falling in line with our high-density zoning code, they revised it to only having 2 accessory structures. Ultimately, the Plan Commission voted in favor of Concept 2 after their last meeting, after reviewing both of the plans by a vote of 6-1. Note then, Concept Plan number 1, this is being proposed to meet all city code requirements for R4 high-density residential zoning. Plan Commission did not prefer this option of the 2 concept plans that they reviewed. However, Plan Commission is only a recommending body per Wisconsin state statute, so Council, you may still choose to go with the plan, concept plan number 1 over concept plan number 2. However, I do just want to make sure, and I pointed this out to Plan Commission too, the city may not arbitrarily deny a site plan review that complies with all applicable zoning regulations that we have set forth. However, it may impose reasonable and relevant conditions of approval. One of the questions that has come up in terms of the development is park dedication. Per City Code 510-47, a developer is required to dedicate 10% of the total acreage of their land if it's over 2 acres for parks, playgrounds, recreation, and open space. This is at the discretion of Plan Commission. The developer may provide a fee in lieu of dedication. Specifically, this development, the city has, as mentioned, what is called the skate park. Unfortunately, it is needing some love and care, I would say. So in this regard, rather than having the dedication of land, the city is proposing a fee of $75,000, which is 10% of what the proposed development or acquisition price was as listed in the development assistance request. So that's where that number comes from. It would serve as the neighborhood park, so not only for this development, but also the discussion has been at Parks and Public Works. Rather than doing future development of playground equipment here, since it's surrounded by a road at Shane Park Circle, we'd move this playground equipment over to that new development area as well. Concept plan number 1 does propose a single principal building that would be located over an existing 12-inch water main that runs through the middle of the site. This was installed back in 1975 when the original water tower number 1 was installed. That is not pictured on this map, but it is just north on the other side of Pine Street, closer to Dexter. If the City Council prefers concept plan number 1, the water main would need to be relocated, and we would have to have further discussions on the easement agreement in terms of who would pay the cost for that relocation. So with that, I am going to turn it over, and I apologize, Trevor, I think we're missing the intro slides. I'm going to turn over to Trevor with CapVest to go over the development.
Mayor, City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present the bluffs for your consideration.
I don't know what happened to the intro slides. They're in the council packet.
All right, I guess we'll just kind of deliver here. Man, you got me way out of order. Let's see. Well, do we have concept 1 and 2?
Let me, hold on, let me pull it up for you. Just figure it out.
Great technology. Here it is.
As noted, we have our civil engineer, Sean Bohan from Advanced Engineering Concepts, is attending virtually if there's any specific questions that I can't handle from a civil engineer perspective. And we also have Joshua Waller from SEH attending virtually. He's going to go over the traffic findings at the end of the presentation from his analysis, kind of a takeaway from some of the public hearing comments that were made. The overlay map here shows the location of the bluffs and the proximity to both the high school and the middle school. A bike path will connect both Dexter to Bonner Street. In addition, there will be a crosswalk as noted, and we'll go kind of look at it a little more further in a further slide. Again, that was a comment made during public hearing that we tried to incorporate into the plan here. And that'll give us access then on the eastern side of the property line on Dexter, the sidewalk extending through the crosswalk over to the east side of Dexter, which connects the existing sidewalk all the way to the high school. The city of Prescott has limited shovel-ready lots available. Developers choose properties based upon availability, access to public improvements, location, plus zoning. Zoning is set by the municipality based upon the needs of the community and your respective comprehensive plan. We are empathetic to adjacent landowners who prefer that this infill lot not be developed. We've attempted to incorporate recommendations and suggestions from concerned citizens from the public hearing, the Plan Commission, community members, and city staff into our conceptual designs whenever feasible. This was concept plan 1. On the north property line is an 80-unit building. Far west is a 32-unit building. The very westerly lot is our stormwater, and then a far northeastern corner is a pet park. Connector between the two would be a fitness center and a community room. 4 stories, 112 units, 168 beds, 206 open parking stalls, which meets your requirement of 1 parking stall per bedroom. And as Matt noted earlier, a water main relocation would be required as your current easement, which is 10 foot wide. The water main at the bottom 2/5 of this lot starts to meander outside of that easement to the south property line. Exterior of the facade of the building, looking from the parking lot to the 80 unit to the right, the 32 to the left. Concept number 2, three buildings, 3 stories, kind of breaks up this big massive building. 2 accessory structures in the very far north, 2 parking garages. Only variance to the PUD, as Matt noted, would be the number of buildings. There is no water main relocation that is required, and I'll see if I can do a good job here. Your water main comes right in the parking lot between the second and third building. We would modify our garage leases such that they can be used for storage. It has to be for vehicles. And then the last part, put no off-street parking around Dexter and Glen Ridge. This is a exterior typical of other projects we've done. And again, in the middle there is the crosswalk that would be going across Dexter Street. Interior finishes, LVT, granite countertop, stainless steel appliances, they're nice units. I should note, we are a build to hold, right? So we're a long-term hold. We're not looking at building something and in 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, just putting it up for sale. And so when we build them, we're looking for quality because, you know what, we don't want the maintenance expense long-term either. So these buildings, for example, will have LP smart siding as part of them, right? So try to do really good upgrades that tenants want, as well as longevity. There was a question during the public hearing at the Planning Commission. It was as it relates to parking. This is Mill City in New Richmond. Kind of a very similar zoning requirements for parking as the city of Prescott. They average out about the same. New Richmond is 1.5 parking stalls per dwelling unit. Yours is 1 parking stall per bedroom. There's 144 surface stalls there, and this is, a couple weeks ago, we had one of our project superintendents just fly the drone over at 6 o'clock at night, just to kind of show, you know what, the same concerns that the public would have of not wanting our tenants parking off-street. You know, we want everything self-contained, and I think this demonstrates a very good illustration of, this is a building that's 100% occupied, and when I kind of counted everything up, again, this is at 6 o'clock at night, we're about 55% of the parking stalls are being utilized. Another project in River Falls, very similar, 100% occupied. Again, the results at 6 o'clock at night are very similar. It's about 55% that the stalls are being utilized by our tenants. Again, no off-street parking on this one either. Joshua, would you mind talking about the traffic findings, please?
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Josh Waller from SCH. We conducted what we refer to as an initial review, which is shown on the screen here. It was 2.5 pages and some exhibits. The purpose of this is to really understand the potential magnitude of traffic that's going to be generated by proposed development and how that may impact the surrounding roadways. So page 1 is basically just some kind of generic information about the location, the type of development. Page 2 is, I guess, what I'd call the headliner of the study, what is of most value here. So looking at the table, this table is developed based on the number of units in concept 2, 106 units. And the rates that are shown in this table are based off of the ITE trip generation manual. And that is essentially the industry standard method for developing anticipated number of trips. The information in there is based off of a number of various studies, kind of aggregated based on the size, location of the development. So that is where these numbers on the bottom called the multipliers are coming from. So what you can notice is during the AM peak, we anticipate based on the size of the development that it will generate a total of 43 vehicles entering and exiting the facility during that peak hour. And that peak hour can really be any time. It's generally added to the peak hour of adjacent roadway traffic. During the PM peak, it increases slightly up to 55 vehicles entering and exiting. So it's about 60% coming in the PM, so 34 inbound and 21 outbound. So order of magnitude, we're talking about, a little less than a vehicle per minute if it was averaged out over that full hour, course it won't be, but just, again, a general order of magnitude. In terms of where we, feel these traffic trips might go, based on the surrounding roadway network, we're anticipating about 90% of those trips are going to be going to the north towards Highway 10 or the schools, and then we'll use Highway 10 to kind of route to their final destination. A few may go to the south, through town, but anticipating that'll be fairly negligible. And then of those trips, this area is truly not clear cut on the best route to get through. Based on, experience with the way schools operate and the way traffic comes and goes, and the kind of the availability of adjacent routes. Feeling is if people do not have business at the school, they are going to pick routes that take them away from the school when school is entering and exiting, just because of the way that flow works. And, folks will likely use Warner to get up towards Highway 10 and towards the signal. That obviously will vary a little bit by time of day. If there's not as much going on, people may, pick a little bit of a different route, but in general, that's kind of the anticipation. So realistically, that's what we've got in this study. Again, just trying to give an order of magnitude on, the number of trips that this development will give, and just a general idea on where they may go. So any questions?
I guess I'd like to know if it was incorporated in regards to your peak times are still not real defined in the morning or in the afternoon, but in particular when that high school starts classes and when the high school releases students for the day. Was that specific time frame included within this study?
So we didn't do physical counts. We did look at the available count data that's available on Highway 10 that the DOT collects. The peaks on Highway 10 do not correspond to school enter and exiting times. It's earlier and later. But again, local traffic may flow slightly differently. So the way that we typically do it to look at worst case scenarios, we would align it to whatever that peak is of the roadway traffic. And again, we didn't do physical study. This one was just to look at the magnitude of trips coming. I don't know if that answers the question.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions?
Any other questions? Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Joshua. The next item is just to kind of reflect the impact that housing has on local communities. There's really three phases. This is per National Association of Home Builders article several years ago. It's essential to understand the magnitude of the economic impacts of increased housing and how they benefit the local population. The major economic impacts from building additional housing units are job creation, increased spending, and tax revenue. Building creates direct jobs for workers paid through construction spending on the project itself. It creates indirect jobs for workers at building material suppliers and businesses providing support services such as trucking or architectural design. That's phase one. So in this article, it was $7.4 million to local economy and creating 90 jobs. Phase two is income generated for local businesses when workers spend their wages and increase government revenues. And I guess the best way to think about this is, you have a bunch of subs and they need someplace to go for lunch or gas or wherever. They're going to go to one of your businesses, and that business is paying a server or whomever, right, a wage, and that dollar just keeps recirculating, right? It's the ripple effect, they call it. And then you have phase three. Moreover, after the construction is completed, the economic impact continues through spending by households residing in the units and building operations such as a company as CapVest, doing the maintenance and upkeep, be it snow removal, lawn care, those kind of things, right? Again, the continuation of the ripple effect, $2.6 million. Why we chose Prescott. You have estimated population growth 10% in the next 5 years. Your proximity, of course, to the Twin Cities. The investment that's been made by this community to upgrade 3 of the 4 schools that was completed in 2024. And a school system that consistently ranks in the top 20%. Those are things that potential tenants are looking for to relocate. Maybe they work here in town, and they're going, you know what, that's a really good school. You guys should be proud of that. Unfortunately, your enrollment is declining. And as you look at it, some of your projections based upon the younger kids coming in, you're looking at least a 7% decline potentially in students at the high school over the next 5 years. And tax revenue is a part of it from real estate taxes. 45% comes from state aid. This development theoretically helps bridge some of that gap. Maybe not immediately through the TIF, but thereafter. Your owners versus renters. Typical communities are around 55% owners to renters. You have a high ownership percentage here in town. Your building permits, and historically, that's what they have been. And I just wanted to throw out there that, this isn't something that Capital Investment Partners just came to City of Prescott 6 months ago and we're like, let's get this built. This has been conversations with city staff since August of 2023, trying to find land, trying to find someone that would sell in a location that was right for us and a purchase price that made financial sense. Housing need, I'm not going to regurgitate what your 2022, 2027 housing assessment had. But in essence, you have a housing need and shortage here. The other part, Matt noted about infill lot, that's the last one. Building on infill lots that are vacant, abandoned, or underutilized within existing urban areas. Typically is a strategic priority for municipalities. It's a cost savings. It's not like the City of Prescott has to put a bunch of money in public infrastructure. Environmental benefits and community revitalization while avoiding the pitfalls of really land grab, right? Annexations for additional urban sprawl. Your housing study from 2022-27 had a estimate needed of 263 units. And as if I go back to the building permit slide a couple back, you're only about 31% there. And so hopefully this project will help alleviate and cover some of that deficit. Questions for me?
Was there at any point a discussion about 2 buildings instead of 3?
2 buildings instead of 3.
This is late in the game, so I apologize.
No.
Okay, thank you.
So before you tonight is the concept plans that we're talking about and then the ordinance regarding the PUD. So if the PUD is being considered, just wanted to note the conditions of approval that would be before you if we get there. First, the installation of a mid-block RFB pedestrian crossing just to the north of the site. This would be, as we discussed, where Dexter Street would cross over to go to the high school, and then a trail is being proposed that would connect from Dexter Street all the way over to Borner. Inclusion of lease provisions requiring garages to be used solely for vehicle parking and prohibiting habitation or alternative uses. Compliance with R4 accessory structure limits, again, maximum of 2. Provision of a minimum of 156 surface parking stalls and approximately 36 garage stalls. Payment and fee of lieu of parkland dedication, as we discussed. And then the developer shall be required to enter in a new updated easement agreement for the water main. So Before you tonight is consideration of the concept plans as proposed by CapVest or Capital Investment Partners in the presentation that Mr. Boland just gave, and determine if the City Council agrees with Plan Commission's recommendation of concept plan number 2. If the council agrees with the recommendation of concept plan number 2, then the consideration of the tabled ordinance from the March 9th, 2026 meeting regarding the PUD amending the official zoning map for the city of Prescott at 1452 Glenridge Drive. So I will turn it over to council for comments and questions.
You know, I struggled with this in regard to just the 3 buildings within that space. And, you know, I looked at both concepts and the fact that the one building was on the water line, the significant, you know, cost to have to move that line. But I also see that we are in dire need of affordable housing, and it's obvious. And for me, I feel like that has to take precedence at this point, in my personal opinion.
I maybe should have asked this while you were standing up here. I apologize. What do like a single bedroom and a 2-bedroom unit usually go for?
So we're
Do
still.
you want to come up?
Sorry.
Can I make one of your slides?
Sure.
Just a couple slides back, it was 36 stalls for the garage. It's 26, so I just want to make sure I got that right. We're still doing market analysis as it relates to Prescott, so we just are working on a current project right now to kind of gauge where we're going to end up with for rents. There's not anything specifically been in this marketplace that I can find for rent of, again, anything new. I understand that, but even older, trying to morph what it may end up being, I could give you a significant range. Right now, and I'm going off the top of my head, 1-bedrooms are $1,150, $1,250. 2-bedrooms are in the, I should put this down. Let's say $1,450 to $1,650, and 3-bedrooms are around that $1,750, $1,850 range.
Okay.
Again, final numbers won't be known until really we start lease-up activities to find where the market is. It's the hard part about not having anything to benchmark against.
Right.
So
Okay.
you typically try to use other like communities, River Falls and Richmond, and go, okay, let's be conservative because you don't know. Yeah, you can look across the river and go, yeah, maybe. But typically, you know, in our experience, River Falls with Woodbury, they're commanding a higher price than what we can get in those communities. Any other questions?
Nope, that'll do it. Thank you.
I understand what Dara's saying in terms of affordable housing and needing that, and I know this is not their problem, this is a problem with the market, but that's not affordable for people that that are looking for a place to stay in a small community.
You mean 1,150 to
I guess-
1,250?
I think she's talking about bigger ones.
I guess I'm hearing your conservative estimate, and I'm assuming it's probably gonna be on the higher end.
Yeah. I was paying over $1,000 a month when I was renting in this community, and I couldn't find anything
Yeah.
less than that. And was very little rental housing in this community to begin with. So, I think we have to take a chance on the market. I know that's difficult at this time in our economy, but we look at the ratio between what other communities have for rental housing versus our community, 71%. That's an enormous gap.
I think this will also help with the school and the declining enrollment for the reasons stated and the reasons we all know for living here of what brought us here. It's the school district. It's the proximity to things. It's of course the beautifulness of the city. But it is very evident in my now almost 3 years here on the council, knowing the need for more housing and more units, more rentable units as well, so.
I mean, the economy is just, I don't know.
So we're looking for a motion for the ordinance.
I think initially we were looking for just approval or consideration of the Plan Commission's recommendation on the two concept plans. So either looking for a motion from the council on concurrence with concept plan number 2, or if they would like to see the developer look at concept plan number 1, which is the 1 4-story.
I'm in favor of concept plan number 2. I know it still is jarring for me to have 3 buildings, but I do believe the extra story makes a big difference in terms of everything around it.
I agree with that.
All right, well, I will make a motion to move forward with Resolution 17, or looking for a motion for Resolution 17-26, approving a certified survey map to reconfigure lots 1 at 1452, what am I doing?
Jump ahead.
Jump one ahead though.
Approval of
One, my
either
apologies.
number 1 or number 2. Start there.
Let me get my ducks in a row. Let's go ahead and move forward with option, you said option number 2?
Concept plan.
Where am I missing
Concept
this?
plan.
Concept plan.
Concept plan 1 is 4 stories,
Just on
and 2 is
It's on
3.
the screen.
Oh, my apologies. I'm always looking on our agenda here. Moving forward with consideration of the concept plan as proposed by Capital Investment Partners in the presentation to determine if the City Council agrees with the Planning Commission's recommendations of Plan Number 2. We would move, I'm making a motion to move forward with concept plan number 2.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move forward with concept plan number 2. Is there any discussion on that motion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried.
So now we're looking for, with that recommendation, council's retaking up the tabled items from the March 9th, 2026 meeting, specifically ordinance 03-2026. This is an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of Prescott, Wisconsin to allow for a PUD at 1452 Glen Ridge. Specifically, this is being required because the concept plan that is being recommended, much like in March, is now matching that same thing where it needs to have 3 principal buildings rather than 1.
Okay, moving forward with resolution 17-26.
No.
What am I?
You're at 0326
Hey.
I want to see it on here, though.
Need to see resolution.
Okay, my
A.
apologies. All right, moving forward with Resolution A, Ordinance 03-26, an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the City Council, City of Prescott, Wisconsin.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the ordinance 0326. Is there any discussion on the motion? Are we going to do one reading, and are we looking for one reading and omit another 2?
Ultimately, that's up to council. Obviously, this has been discussed for the last couple months, so.
That would be my recommendation, but that's your motion.
Okay, I am making a motion that this would be the first and final reading.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, second for the final reading of ordinance 0326. Any discussion on that motion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Then the motion to approve the Bluffs development, is that correct?
Yeah, I'll start off, I guess, from a presentation
ahead.
standpoint here. So at last meeting for Plan Commission, they tabled the CSM and the site plan review at their meeting in March, and then in April, they voted to approve the site plan review and CSM due to the fact that they went with the original concept plan that had the 3 buildings. So we've kind of discussed this already. I won't cover this. Is discussing the same project, same location. Specifically, Per code, a site plan review has to occur to make sure that they're meeting setbacks, landscaping requirements, architectural standards, things of that nature. Additionally, the developer is looking at combining two of the larger parcel with the smaller parcel in order for stormwater ponding can be met. Did I say something wrong, Trevor?
Just that, I think the last slide was April 6th, the site plan system was approved.
Correct. I pushed everything up a month, so I apologize on that one. As we discussed, 3 principal buildings, the sizes would be 24 units of the westernmost building. Let's see if I can get my mouse button. Here we go. This westernmost building would be 9,812 square feet, the middle would be 40 units at 12,980 square feet, and the east would be 42 units at 12,980 square feet. Again, we've already touched upon the PUD, so won't cover that again. The property is meeting all current or required setbacks. Front yard is 20, they're proposing 25. Side yard is 12, they're greater than 25. Accessory is 5, they're meeting that at 5. And then height, the maximum for R4 is 4 floors. They're meeting that at 3 floors since it is a pitched roof design. The total height at the top of the peak is 49 feet. Impervious surface, maximum of 70%, and they are meeting that at 63.5. Parking, multifamily has already touched upon is 1 stall per building, or 1 stall per bedroom. They have a requirement of 151, they are proposing 182. Additionally, as part of the PUD and as part of code, parking or storage of recreational vehicles, boats, trailers, campers, or similar equipment is prohibited on the property, including within all parking stalls and drive aisles. Going crazy here, sorry. Pedestrian access, this would be proposed to the north, a sidewalk that would run from the intersection of Glenridge Drive and Dexter, and then there would be a connection of a trail that would go to the west, and then a rapid flashing beacon here that would cross over to the other side so that pedestrians could get and connect to the high school. The fire department has reviewed the proposal. They required an additional access off Glenridge. They required increased turning radius to the drive entrances within the parking lot, and then they updated FDC locations. The one item that we will still have to address or get approved is the final hydrant location, and working with the fire chief to make sure that the fire department is good with that. Landscape standards, they are required per city ordinance to have 32. They are proposing 38 trees, 191 shrubs, and they are proposing 222 shrubs in there. So both are meeting requirements there. Architectural standards, elevations and renderings are here to the side. Proposed exterior materials include quarried gray and cultured stone. All mechanical equipment, in this case there wouldn't be any that would be on the roof, but that would be required to be screened. And then one caveat that we always put, exterior lighting is generally not shown at this stage, but as a condition, any exterior lighting installed must comply to prevent glare and light trespass onto adjacent properties. The stormwater pond has been reviewed by our city engineer. Wet detention pond located in the southwest of the property that meets total suspended solids reduction requirement. Peak flow is addressed. Since they are disturbing 4.14 acres, it does require a Wisconsin DNR notice of intent permit, which will be required before construction can be done, and then erosion control permits required prior to land disturbance. Utilities, as it is looking at 106 units, proposed average daily water right now is 317,685. After development, the proposal would be 325,847. So well within our peak flow of total capacity. If we have all 3 wells running at peak, we have a total capacity of about 3.6 million gallons of water. For sewer, pre-development is 344,000. Post-development is being proposed at 352,162 per day. Prescott Sewer Treatment Plant has a total capacity of 500,000 gallons per day, so it would meet and could handle the development as being proposed. The certified survey map that is before you would be combining 2 proposed lots. First is lot 1, this 4.1, or lot 1 would be the combined total of both of them, I believe. But this is an unplatted lot at 1452, and that would be combining with the smaller lot, lot 17 of the first edition of Maelstrom's Glenridge, and combining that one large, this lot 17 would then be holding, as part of the development, the stormwater pond. So before you tonight is the two resolutions, one regarding the certified survey map map to reconfigure the lots, and the other one for the site plan review for Bluffs multifamily development at 1452 Glenridge Drive. So I will turn it over to council for comments and questions.
I'll make a motion to this finally, to get to the part that I was trying to make a motion of before. I'll make a motion for Resolution 17-26, approving a certified survey map to reconfigure lots 1 at 1452 Glen Ridge Drive and lot 17 at Maelstrom's Glen Ridge subdivision.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 17-26. Is there any discussion on the motion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? We need another resolution.
I will make a motion to Resolution 18-26, approving the site plan review for the Bluffs multifamily development at 1452 Glen Ridge Drive.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to approve Resolution 18-26. Any discussion on that motion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The motion carried. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 19-26, approving a grade crossing construction and maintenance agreement with BNSF Railway Company for the Riverfront Improvement Phase 2 project. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry.
So a little bit of background, as part of the Phase 2 project that was approved in spring of 2025, we included a pedestrian at-grade crossing at the BNSF Railroad intersection at Kinnickinnick to provide a safe and controlled pedestrian crossing where none currently exists. Since that time, the City and Cedar Corporation have been working with the Office of the Commissioner of Railroads, or OCR, for approval, which was received in September of 2025. As part of the approval, the city is responsible for all costs associated with the construction of the crossing, including stop lines, detectable warnings, and advanced warning signage. The city's borrowing for the project did consider this and consist of $159,990 in contingency funds to help cover this pedestrian crossing. So just a refresher of the plans. So this is currently behind the buildings off of downtown. This is the Kinnickinnick crossing with the railroad. The proposal for the construction would have a 5-foot wide sidewalk that would come off the one that currently dead ends here, or I shouldn't say dead ends, but crosses up onto the hill onto Highway 35, and then crosses over the railroad. There would be 2 detectable warnings here and here. There would be a culvert here for helping for drainage as it drains down towards the river, and then that sidewalk would connect with this crosswalk that has been developed here. So as part of this, BNSF is requiring a grade crossing and maintenance agreement. This agreement is primarily made up of an easement that the city would be receiving for improvements. If you can it's hard to see here on the drawing, but essentially this easement is something that's not in place right now. So it's not only covering the proposed crossing, but is also covering the sidewalk that was put in as part of the first phase of the development as well here. The cost in total that BNSF is proposing is a $10,000 in administrative and an easement fee, and an additional $15,701 in construction costs, for a total cost of $25,701. Our city attorney has reviewed this agreement, and his revisions have been incorporated into the agreement. The legal costs would be in addition to the $25,701, which is being proposed before you tonight as part of the resolution. So total cost for the work, with the estimated $25,000 to date, we have spent out of contingency number of items for the parking lot. This was the Merckard Mill parking lot, running the conduit. We actually gained a little bit of money when we moved the trash container as part of the Jake's Park change, adding a security system down at Jake's Park, the streetlight addition, and then the fence addition. So we have a remaining amount of $55,329.60. And that's what would be used to pay this $25,701. Finally, BNSF is requiring a threat of condemnation letter be included in this, so that is before you. A draft of that is in your packet for consideration. Basically, it just states that if the city, I believe that they required as part of that the city says that we can use our right of condemnation to go forward with this if the railroad. So they like to have that on file, basically showing that. So before you tonight is the resolution considering this agreement. I'll turn it over to council for comments and questions.
None for me.
So, Matt, essentially, we're paying the railroad the money to do but we will do the development.
So the railroad, the 15,000 itself is actually just working in this area. The railroad will not let outside contractors modify anything within the actual railway itself.
Yeah,
But the concrete that you're seeing here
yeah.
is still to be done and has already been approved as part of the Haas, our improvement. So Haas and Sons, or Haas Sons, I believe, is the contractor that would be completing that work. But the money we're paying is just within modifying this
Okay,
area.
all right.
So you're saying the concrete, have we paid for that concrete yet, or did that still come?
No, that's all within.
Oh, we're paid.
I mean, some of this will include the concrete that's being placed in here that BNSF is putting in.
Okay.
Long overdue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we know when this construction would start if we approve it?
Unfortunately, no, we're at the mercy of BNSF, so
2-3 years.
It could be years.
ideally, the goal is to try to get this all submitted within 30 days and get it on their schedule. We're hoping by fall that they would get it on their schedule to get it put in, because they have to go put their items in first, so then our contractor, who we approve, can then attach to that and go from there. So
Makes
they
sense.
go first and then we come in afterwards.
Okay. I guess I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 1926, approving the grade crossing construction and maintenance agreement with BNSF Railway Company for the Riverfront Improvement Phase 2 project.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve Resolution 19-26. Is there any discussion on the motion? Now I'll do a roll call. Mike?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Dar?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 20-26, approving a conditional use permit for an accessory dwelling unit at 878 East Washington Street. Luke?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. So at the last Plan Commission meeting, there was a public hearing for an accessory dwelling, or for a conditional use permit at 878 East Washington Street. This was for an accessory dwelling unit. So for those unfamiliar, an accessory dwelling unit is a residential living unit with complete independent living facilities on the same lot as the principal structure. The R1 ordinance for the conditional use for the ADU states that ADUs are intended to add moderately priced housing units and meet the needs of older homeowners and smaller moderate income households, including supporting aging in place. So Clint Kistler of P City Properties LLC is seeking this conditional use permit to allow for ADU use within the existing detached accessory structure on the property. The structure is long-standing and was not constructed in its current form by the present owner. So it has not been documented as a vehicle garage in some time. It did have water and sewer hooked up to the unit for some time. We were unable to verify the exact date. Clint Kistler, the owner, said that he talked to the contractor who worked on it. He said that it was in the 90s when the water and sewer was hooked up to the unit. So because because the city did not record this as a approval for the dwelling unit, this request is being reviewed now as a current conditional use permit for accessory dwelling unit use. So because this is a conditional use, there are a number of ordinances and conditions that the property owner must meet in order for the accessory dwelling unit to be approved. So on the resolution, there are a number of conditions such as having owner occupancy being required. This means that the owner of the main structure must live at the house for 6 months out of the year. There's a maximum of 1 ADU on the lot. There's no separate sale from the principal dwelling, so they cannot sell the ADUs separately. They have to be sold together if they are to be sold together. There's no short-term rental use, so they are not allowed to rent the ADU for like an Airbnb or use or anything. It has to be long-term rentals only. There's a maximum of 2 bedrooms. In this ADU, there's only 1 bedroom, but they are allowed to have a maximum of 2 bedrooms per the ordinance. The connection to the city sanitary sewer system is required, which they are meeting. And then existing structure and site layout may remain, but no expansion, enlargement, or footprint increase in impervious surface is permitted with it. And also, prior to occupancy, the structure shall be inspected by the city's building inspector to verify compliance with applicable building and safety codes. All current inspections did already review the structure. They found that it was largely compliant. They just wanted a few items to be added to it. One of it was just adding like a GFI outlet to the kitchen. So the property owner is working on getting those items completed. Once it is, then they will let Allcroy know for that. And then because this is a conditional use permit, it is subject to Wisconsin Act 67, which states that once a use is listed as conditional in the ordinance, the decision is not meant to reopen whether that use is appropriate in the district. And instead, the focus is whether the specific application satisfies the ordinance standards and proposed conditions, and if the city council wishes to add any conditions, they may. So at the April 6th meeting, the Plan Commission held a public hearing, and they ended up recommending approval for the conditional use permit. So before council is the approval of Resolution 20-26, and I'll turn it over to council for any questions or concerns.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 20-26, approving the conditional use permit for an accessory structure unit, the ADU at 878 East Washington Street.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 20-26. Is there any discussion on that motion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next item is the 2026 Facade Improvement Program. Luke?
Thank you. So for the facade improvement program, this is a 6-year program running from 2025 to 2030. The program has $50,000 allocated per year for a total of $300,000 worth of investment. So this is meant to enhance the visual appeal and vitality of the downtown commercial district through private and public investment. These funds were designated through the tax increment district number 4, and as a result, they are limited to the C1 commercial districts or the downtown riverfront area. These grants are rewarded on a reimbursement basis, so once the project is complete, that's when the funds are rewarded to them. So I'll go over the applications that were submitted from the ranking of the first to the last. This was the winner from the Plan Commission scores. This is the Prescott Historical Society. They are proposing to scrape the front windows, glaze the areas in need, and restore pretty much all the parts of the facade. It had a total project cost of $24,000. They're requesting a grant of $12,000. Ultimately, the commissioners agreed on the building's importance, with it being the first building when crossing the bridge across the river. And so they recommended, with the highest score, they recommended giving the full grant request of $12,000 for it. In second place was 206 Broad Street. This project is restoring character-defining facade elements with historic arched windows, historically appropriate entry door systems, and commercial-grade lighting and benches. This had a total project cost of $135,000, and they requested $50,000 for the grant. Because the $12,000 were rewarded to the Prescott Historical Society, the Plan Commission ended up recommending, I have the full number later, I believe $46,800 for this. That is also taking into account an additional $8,000 that was left over from last year's facade improvement program. In third place was 144 Broad Street, which proposed historic windows, brick replacement, and repair on the north side. So this had a total project cost of $127,000 with the grant request of $50,000. The commission scored this one pretty closely to the 206 Broad Street, but it did just miss out on a few points for it. In fourth place was the 209 Broad Street. This had a total cost of $17,243. The proposal was to update the storefront and then the sides. Ultimately, the commissioners liked the project, but didn't think the building was in as rough a shape as the other ones. And ultimately, the last place was 231 and 227 Broad Street, which was the Muddy Waters. This had a total project cost of $65,000 with a grant request of $32,500. The project was to restore the front of the building at 227 to red brick and remove the stucco over the original brick facade. The commissioners acknowledged the rough shape the building was in, but ultimately the application didn't have all the materials required, so it scored lowly in that regard for it. So an overview of the scores. At its April 6th Plan Commission meeting, the commissioners reviewed the scores and recommended allocating the full requested amount of $12,000 to 235 and 237 Broad Street, which is the Prescott Historical Society, and then the remaining $46,710.50 to 206 Broad Street. And so for council is the two facade improvement program agreements. So any questions?
I have a question. Will these other projects be able to apply in the next cycle then?
Yep. Yeah, they are allowed to grant or to apply for the next one. So it runs till 2030. So each year they are allowed to apply.
Yeah, good.
I will make a motion to approve the facade improvement program agreement between the City of Prescott and the Prescott Area Historical Society for 235 and 237 Broad Street.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve the facade improvement agreement between City of Prescott, Prescott Area Historical Society. Is there any discussion on that motion? I'll do a roll call. Lindsay?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Dar?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
And one more.
Motion to approve the facade improvement program agreement between the City of Prescott and London Bridges LLC for 206 Broad Street.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, to approve the facade improvement agreement in the City of Prescott and London Bridges LLC. Is there any discussion on that motion?
I'm very excited and excited to see people submit next year. It's more than we got last time,
Yeah.
so it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad there's been enthusiasm for this program.
It's gonna look good in a couple of years.
Yes.
Okay, do another roll call. Mike?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Dar?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is Resolution 2126, commending Mayor Robert Doherty for dedicated service to the City of Prescott. I'm not going to read that. Somebody else can read that.
Let's do this. Hold on.
I can't find it.
And I've got it, Rob.
Oh, there it is. I can read it.
Thank you, Marie.
Okay. Resolution 21-26, a resolution commending Mayor Robert Doherty for dedicated service to the City of Prescott. Whereas Robert Doherty was elected by the residents of the City of Prescott to serve as mayor, and whereas Mayor Doherty has demonstrated outstanding leadership, dedication to his duties, and a sincere commitment to serving the citizens of Prescott, and whereas his service has reflected a strong devotion to the betterment of the community and the common good of the city, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Prescott, Wisconsin, that the City of Prescott hereby expresses its sincere appreciation to the mayor for his years of dedicated service and leadership. The council extends its best wishes for his continued health, happiness, and success in all future endeavors. Dated this day, 13th of April 2026.
So you made the motion. I'm going to second that motion.
Okay.
Have a motion second to approve Resolution 2126. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Other business, Tuesday, April 21st at 5:30, City Council organizational meeting. Any other business, Matt?
I just want to mention, as part of that organizational meeting with Mayor-elect Gerke vacating his role in Ward 6, the next step will be council gets to make the determination of how they want to fill that vacated Ward 6 seat. They either can hold a special election, which since the seat is up for election already less than a year from now, staff is not recommending that, or else basically they get to determine how they want to fill it and with whom they want to fill it. So we'll have a further discussion at that organizational meeting on how council would like us to proceed. So just want to, if there is thought process as you want to make as we move into that for next week, just want to prepare you all.
Okay, the next item is closed session. Closed session per Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public property, investment of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive bargaining reasons require closed session. To wit, discussion and consideration, negotiation regarding a development agreement at 27101160170 with Capital Investment Partners for the Bluffs multifamily development.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion, second, go into closed session. Do a roll call. Mike?
Aye.
Maureen?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Dar?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Lindsay?
Aye.
Okay, we are in closed session. Thank you, everybody, for coming.